Hello everyone, this is Kaga. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a bit of a special replay for you in World of Warships. The subject is all about the Isokaze at Tier 4 in the Japanese destroyer line. So we have a match on the map New Dawn. It is a domination match, your typical domination match that you've probably played an unsavory number of. Maximum tier is Tier 4. There are two hull shells on this map. Uh, for some strange reason, there is also an Erie class cruiser or gunboat, whichever you prefer to call it. So I started off this match looking at the team list and noted that the enemy team had more destroyers than we do. So I endeavored to enter the Bravo capture point and contest it, as that is the most likely place for at least one of the enemy destroyers to start off the match. And it is a bit of a risk, but high risk, high reward. The leaving these destroyers to run about the match unhindered is a dangerous gamble, one that I was not prepared to make. So I set course for the center of the B point. As you can see, I'm actually coming across towards the eastern side of this map, of that particular capture point. The primary objective of this little venture is twofold. To one, reconnoiter the Bravo capture point, and for whatever reason I didn't turn off my AA guns right away and was spotted by not just those airplanes but enemy vessels as well. So I changed course immediately. And the second objective I've already kind of hinted to is to reduce enemy numbers, and there's one of my primary targets in that Wakatake class destroyer. So I begin turning around, trying to get a torpedo firing solution up there, trying to make my course both conducive to that and yet unpredictable to him so he can't plant torpedoes, dodge the first spread, and for whatever reason, I thought that torpedo was going slower than it was. Perhaps I thought it was US Navy torpedoes, so I slowed down trying to get around there, but my stern caught it. And you see me make another blunder right here, plowing straight into the island there. I really should have paid for that, but still here. Spotted by aircraft again. And I'm starting to look at my health pool, less than 2,000 health. Saw those shells coming in and decided to throw some torpedoes in the direction of that smoke screen as a last gambit. Kind of wish I hadn't. As you can see, there's that Watake class destroyer again. Man, I'm getting low on health. Put some shells out, do some decent damage to him, and manage to reset the cap. And ooh, I'm sub 1,000 health. What is so special about this match? So obviously you can see that my objectives in coming to this cap have not really been met. Did pseudoly reconnoiter the cap. I did contest it. We are now actually doing positive capture instead of the enemy on it. But I came out on the losing end of the engagement, taking more damage than the enemy, so I can't really say that this was a justified action. I should have played it a little bit better. But let's not give up here. So I see our Tenryu engaged by a Phoenix. He's on fire. I'm just trying to get some additional damage into him. I throw a torpedo spread in front, behind, and on target on the lead indicator, trying to get some hits on there, but he starts turning right away. He's probably preparing a torpedo solution on our Tenryu, who appears to be dead in the water, but the Tenryu gets them off first. Boom, done. But they take each other out in torpedoes. I'm staying inside the capture point. At this point, I am still detected, but I'm trying to keep this island between myself and that Phoenix, and that island between myself and those South, what appear to be a South Carolina and maybe a Wyoming. Torpedoes are almost up. I see a solution on the South Carolina. I pull the trigger twice. Third tube doesn't reload as fast. It's gonna be so important here. And as you can see, I'm kind of concerned. Yep, they planted, that last set planted straight into the edge of that island. So, do you think those torpedoes are going to hit after that South Carolina saw them, those other two plant into the island? Ah! He doesn't care. He's a battleship driver. The only thing they can do is drive in straight lines. And I'm detected again, which makes me feel very, very uncomfortable. And oh, there's the other Watatake. Island, island, island. Save me, island. Save me! So yeah, I am trying to stay behind this island, break line of sight, disappear from enemy detection, looking for which way he is headed, trying to determine if I can win the engagement or not. And at this point, something interesting happens. As I pass to within 2 kilometers of him, it's like I got auto-detected the same way you get in World of Tanks when you get within 50 meters of an enemy vehicle. Even if they're not in direct line of sight, they are automatically detected via proximity detection. I suspect there's something similar in World of Warships, because it would seem very unusual otherwise to be detected by a ship when there were no others near me at the time, other than that Watatake. So, being very careful to stay outside of my own detection range, I plant a spread of torpedoes in the direction of the Wyoming. And I'm not even gonna bother trying to build up suspense. You know what's happening. He doesn't. Can someone say kill number 2? Although I could say that at this point it's almost downright kill stealing, but considering I planted those out 40 seconds ago minimum, nah. Can't fault me for that, right? So, again, I slow down. My original plan was to go around the island against the Kuma, but I've decided that being mano a mano against the Kuma class cruiser, and when I've got 751 health, doesn't strike me as a good decision. So I plant a spread of torpedoes, I slow down, I turn out, and throw my smokescreen down. This should, in theory, maximize the chances of my vessel staying concealed, but as the Kuma slips out of detection range, he eats a torpedo and sinks to the bottom. The more attentive of you have probably been watching the domination gauges at the top of the screen and noted that 1, we're losing on points. 2, we're losing on the number of capture points. And 3, we're down in vessels. We are seriously down in vessels, outnumbered almost 2 to 1. We have 1 of every class, compared to the enemy having 2 destroyers, 2 cruisers, 2 battleships, and 1 aircraft carrier. So I see that the Bravo point being capped, and I turn on my AA guns to deal with that float plane. Probably a high tier habit. Isokaze doesn't have great AA. So I head into the Charlie capture point, trying to regain the capture initiative and prevent them from capping out as best I can. So I see these aircraft. I don't know if they've dropped their munitions, so I immediately start turning into them. Alright, I see the characteristic motions of a automatic torpedo drop. I see them in the water, double check, use it, doubling those back, turn a little bit, slow down, and barely miss the very nice fan shape of that drop. And that particular shape tells me that this was an automatic drop. And you're probably wondering, well, how can I tell? That doesn't look like the nice straight lines that torpedoes tend to follow, or they must follow, especially our conception of torpedo bombers having nice, wonderfully tight parallel spreads. It has to do with how the computer lines up the torpedo paths with respect to the target. The computer will always try to intersect the enemy vessel somewhere between 2/3 of the length run of the torpedoes and 3/4 of their run length, and we just torpedoed an Isokaze class destroyer at long range. Straight lines are OP, right? And getting back to the lead that the computer does on the automatic drops, occasionally these paths, when you at certain angles with respect to the target ship and the planes, this will lead to these nice fan-shaped drops that are at times very difficult to dodge if you're used to only weaving the more traditional parallel spreads most people are accustomed to. At this point in the match, was analyzing what we were doing and got spotted by aircraft again, because they got within the magical number on the stats page and decide to turn on my AA guns just to start damaging them a little bit. And I can see that this Arkansas beta is in need of some serious help under attack from the torpedo planes above and the Watatake class destroyer at his port side. But at 751 health, neither can I afford to linger there to provide him any amount of AA against the torpedoes, bombers, nor can I actually do much about the Watatake class destroyer, who's at mostly full health. So I decide to head to the Bravo point and decap it, at which point I'm positioning myself between these islands to avoid being shelled from afar in case somebody gets a line of fire on me thanks to those planes spotting me. And then I spot that torpedo bomber over there on the right hand side of the screen behind that island. It disappeared at a very unusual altitude, so I'm starting to ponder, is he over there? When I'm suddenly just spotted by the carrier itself. So I plant a few torpedoes out, at which point I'm now turning on my speed boost because I know that he's going to be launching against me. I've seen that this person, at the very least, has only used automatic drops to this point, that I've seen anyway. So I run laterally against him and then turn into them and by the way, we just sunk the enemy carrier. That looked like a drop. It looks like maybe they dropped into the island. And that was actually my entire point in this maneuver, was if he did manage to get the drops off, at the very least I could force him to drop those munitions into the island and render them ineffective. That should be common sense. Torpedo on dry land? It's a fish out of water. Come on. That should make sense. So at this point, my speed boost is still active. I can be detected from a much farther range, but you will notice that situational awareness has not kicked off, so I know that the Wyoming is out of detection range, but this also tells me that the Waratake class destroyer is also not in detection range of me. So I use that information and decide to go towards the alpha point. I'm at this point pondering whether I can pick up a 6th kill or not, but I see that the whole show has just sent out torpedo bombers. It doesn't have dive bombers. What am I thinking? It's not a Z-hull. I can see that he's mostly down, and my speed boost has just come offline, and I'm still pondering whether or not to head over there and finish him myself. But 12,500 health, oh no, 9, just a smidge under 10,000, I figure that's not really worth it. So I prepare to skirt the perimeter of this capture point. I throw some shells in and he's gone before they connect. And we are now capturing Alpha Point. The enemy will gain no more capture points with this, unless that Waratake does something heroic, and at 91 health, that would be quite the hero run with the intervention of RN Jesus. So now that the Waratake has been spotted, I begin to turn around, and realistically, I have no hopes of claiming this last kill, but I'm going to turn around just in case he manages to kill the whole show and escape. In all likelihood, that won't happen, but I'm still positioning myself to cover that possibility. So we can see an exchange of torpedoes. Looks like the Waratake is trying to gun for the whole shell. The whole shell has missed his spread. The Arkansas Beta is taking chance to shell the Waratake, but you know, battleship guns, they're not well, at least not in World of Warships are they designed to devastate low health destroyers. Now at this point, this is all but certain the Waratake is closing distance, trying to now open up after probably another torpedo run, but it looks like he bit off more than he could chew, and it looks like those shells don't connect from the Arkansas Beta, and the whole show got the kill with his secondaries. All in all, this is a fairly decent result for the Isokaze, especially considering I spent around 90% of that match at 751 health. And I really hope that that illustrates to everyone that, at least in World of Warships, if you know your ship, its limitations, and its strengths, and how they interact with the game mechanics, that even when RNGesus has an out for you, there's usually still something that you can do to try to turn games around. So please, never give up, never surrender. So we finished on top of the team in terms of experience earned, with 5 ships sunk. It's kind of obvious where that comes from. Bit of a low bit of damage as a result of this battle because some of those torpedo hits were on very low health things. Well, you know how that goes, but almost 62,000 damage done on torpedoes, 3,000 done in HE, and meh, just not enough flooding damage for my tastes. But, what can you do? It's only stupid if it doesn't work. And at the end of the day, we still won that battle fighting uphill through most of that match. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. And if you would like to view more of this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am certain to put up more World of Warships videos It is one of my favorite games at the moment, so there'll be plenty to look forward to. I am primarily a carrier and destroyer driver, so if either of those two classes interest you, please consider coming back for more. Once again, thank you. Good day.